Hey guys, Perlin here again, and today I'm talking with Davin, who I met last night on the beach. We're here in Byron Bay, New Year's Eve, partying on the beach, and he's from Canada, and he's got an amazing story about how he came over to Australia. And so I just want to let him share that because it's a great example about how you can travel super fast and you don't need months and months of preparation or $10,000 to be able to travel, across the world. You can really just make the decision and then go out and make it happen. So, Davin, can you take it away with how you got here to Australia?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's great being here in Australia in beautiful Byron Bay. My second time being here actually, but this trip was one that was quite different from the first time because really it was probably the most adventurous thing I've ever done as traveling. I started off just probably a couple months ago. I had this idea of, I want to go on a trip. I want to go somewhere. I had kind of been saving all year to go on a trip. So I went and talked to my boss. I work full-time at a heavy-duty mechanic shop there, and I'm a partsman there. But salary position, so I asked for time off, and my boss kind of knows I like to travel, so he got me time off there. But it's amazing because I just had this, I was in prayer one day and I was like, hey God, where to next? And God just told me, Christmas Eve, you're going somewhere, but I didn't know where. So all of a sudden Christmas Eve came along and God was like, yeah, go to the airport. And I'm like, okay, I went and then I took the next flight out, and I live in Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada, which is kind of more western in the north. And then I got on a plane that ended up in Calgary, Alberta, in which then there, God told me to get on another flight. But I booked a flight from, just to be adventurous, I booked a flight from Vancouver all the way to Brisbane. Now, I didn't have a flight yet from Calgary to Vancouver. So I ended up having to find a flight that night, got a flight for cheap, got on the next plane, and then I ended up spending a whole day randomly in Taiwan. I had a whole 18-hour layover in Taiwan and got to walk around the city of Taipei and just see beautiful Chinese culture. And it was there that I messaged my good friend in Australia here, and I was like, hey man, coming over, can you pick me up at the airport tomorrow? And yeah, that's quite, it was quite the adventure for sure, getting on the plane there. And yeah, it was quite simple actually. But yeah.
Awesome, man. That's great. So yeah, you can see from Devon here that it's, he just sort of made the decision that he wanted to travel, and then he made it happen. So he figured out, he asked for time off work. He already had savings because he knew he was going to travel in the future, and so he sort of had that prepared. And if you sort of prepare for travel, then it's a lot easier to travel. But if you just aren't preparing for travel at all, and then you decide, I feel like going on a holiday, but you've got nothing prepared, no savings, no time accumulated off work, or have a job that you can travel with, then it becomes a lot more difficult to be able to travel. Mm-hmm. So could you just go into a little bit about how you prepare for traveling in terms of like budgeting or anything else that you sort of integrate into your lifestyle that makes traveling easier for you?
For sure, the way I look at it is it's all about priorities. And for me, I decided to place a high priority on travel. I love culture. I love meeting new people. I love seeing new places in the world. So it's something I put up there on my priority list. And a lot of people ask me, how can you travel? How can you afford to travel? Things are getting so expensive these days. And I look at some very basic things in my budget. First of all, making a budget. And part of that budget, putting aside a large portion of it to travel. So, in which how to do that is cutting out certain things in my life. So I was looking at, first thing I looked at was how much money am I spending on food every month. Realized I was spending like over $500 a month on food. And I went, that's way too high. So what I decided to do was cut out, and I cut that down to $300 a month. Now that extra $200 a month that I wasn't spending on food, I was putting towards my travel, my saving account. And then I did that with a couple other things. So I don't have any big habits like smoking or even going out and hanging out with friends. I used to always go out with them and you go to movies and all that stuff. But I decided to cut a lot of that stuff out. And then instead of spending that money, what I would do is I'd put that money into a savings account. And then automatically when I decide to up and go on a random trip, the money's there and I'm not having to look elsewhere like credit cards or anything like that to go travel.
Awesome, man. So it's very important that you have your priorities, and if you want to travel, you have that as a priority, and then you act accordingly to that priority. So you can have all of these things sort of fit into place, because then you can make these instantaneous decisions to fly all the way around the world. Like, it's pretty much opposite the globe, like Canada and Australia. And and you can just pick up and go on Christmas Eve, you said.
Yeah, you bet.
You know, so I love hearing these stories, because it just, reaffirms and confirms how easy it is for anyone to be able to travel, no matter what job you have or what country you're in. If you want to go out there traveling, you can make it happen. You just first need to make the decision and then, work through the steps to make it possible.
Definitely. And
awesome.
And like a big thing with that too, being able to travel on the fly is, we were talking about earlier, the importance. I mean, of course, one last thing that we can tend to forget when you're traveling last minute is visas. And crazy on this experience. I mean, fortunate I come from a Commonwealth country, Canada, that has a great relationship with Australia. So, I mean, it was funny story on my way here, actually. When I landed in Vancouver, I had 1 hour to catch a flight. 1 hour my flight was boarding to go over to Brisbane. Now, it was when I was in line up to get my ticket that they told me I wasn't allowed on the plane because I didn't have a visa. So it was like, well, that's normally an issue, but you know what? Went and I looked and I found where I can apply for a visa online, and it only took 3 minutes after I applied for my visa that I got my visa approved. They got me on the flight. I got the next flight out to Brisbane there, and but yeah, that is something just to look into as well. Is if you're coming from a country that doesn't necessarily get into other countries very easy, check which countries you can travel to. Check if you need a visa, or if a lot of countries also have visas that you can just get granted once you land. But that's definitely a big important detail to look into pre-traveling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. This is great information. I made a video recently because I had to go over to Thailand for dental work, and I went to the dentist and they're like, oh, you got to get all this work done. And so I went over there and I traveled within 4 days. I prepared it all, did it all, booked flight, booked insurance, everything within 4 days, and was on the plane traveling. So it's definitely very possible. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up in the corner here. Check that out. And thanks for sharing. If you want to contact Devin for any reason, he's got a blog that he's write on, and I'll link that down below. Thanks for that.
No problem. Thanks, you,
guys.
man.
See you next time.
See ya.
Bye.